this video I wanted to make just to show people my experience with having a DEXA scan at Body Scan UK in London. I did this last year at the start of my 2021 prep, so I went for a scan in April and they recommend doing a 3-month apart scan. So I went again in July and then again in November. So I just want to see like a true measurement of what my body fat was at the start compared to the end. But also what came with that is it told me how much muscle mass I had, which is an indicator of how much like testosterone I've got naturally and how easy it is for me to gain muscle as a natural athlete. I did my first scan in April, which was the beginning of my competition prep for 2021. So if you head on through the video and you can see us get on the train and arrive in London.
Right, I'm here with Nick. We're just on his way to London for a body scan for me, not for him, to find out my body composition.
Yeah.
To basically see how much fat I've got on me and how much muscle. And then from that they'll tell me my baseline calories and what is it?
They're gonna, it measures the complete composition, so it will tell you levels of hydration. It'll tell you absolute fat position. It won't tell you maximum muscle. It will give you a complete ratio of everything. They'll be able to mention that what your BMR is, what your RMR is, the resting metabolic rate.
So then I know how many calories for you just laid down.
So, yeah, so you'll know your absolute calorie intake in your RER and then in your BMR, so you'll know what to diet on.
Any reference tickets?
So basically we'll know how much to put in deficit by and what calories to eat. So
Yeah.
we're going to go down there, do that, and then chill out for the afternoon. So it's
Yeah.
Nick's not been in a train in a while, have you?
No.
Just arrived at King's Cross and we're off to the appointment now. I've all my meals on my back. This will get lighter throughout the day, I hope. Anything to say, Coach? Surprise, surprise, we've got lost. Got on the wrong tube. So we're now waiting for another one. But luckily, for once in my life, I'm early. Miracles do happen.
So we both look a lot fatter. Don't you think? We did. We did. We both looked a lot fatter. You did as well. So when I arrived at the clinic in London, I obviously checked in and then went into my consultation, and they were very friendly with me, really good. So I'll just say that and made me feel at ease. So got weighed, got my height taken, because that is quite a critical thing because they do a thing called fat for height. So not body fat percentage, but fat for height percentage is more accurate according to Body Scan. So had all my measurements taken and then I laid on the bed and had the scan done, and then we went through the results basically, and it was thoroughly explained to me what things were, and so I had a full understanding of what my body composition was, how much fat I have, how this compares to other average people, women my age and my height, and where I was on that scale basically. And then we plotted out, the critical point was we plotted out how many calories I would need to eat to lose that amount of fat in 11 weeks, which was at that point to the NPA British Finals, and 17 weeks to the Two Bros Naturals. This is the point that went a little bit wrong, but more on that in a bit. But yeah, we'll touch on that shortly. Just keep watching.
So come out. The first thing we see before we get onto the report
let me introduce these notes. So you're going to take these notes home with you. So this is a very good reminder of everything I'm about to say. It's basically the consultation in writing. So if we look at the picture here, you can very clearly see where you carry your fat. Pretty much most of your fat is all around the hip and thigh area, okay? So it's really quite marked up on the scan there. DEXA is what's known as a 3-compartment model. It measures 3 things. It measures your fat, your bone, and everything else, okay? So everything else we call lean mass. So your lean mass today is your muscles, organs, connective tissue, ligaments, tendons, skin, etc. All fat-free soft tissue, okay? This table here, body composition, this now starts to quantify and stick a load of numbers onto what we see in the picture, okay? So first of all, you can see we split the body into the major regions of arms, trunk and legs, with the head separately here. And now we have these 2 little sub-regions called android and gynoid, or A and G. Okay, so android means male and gynoid is female. So when it comes to your body fat, your android or male fat region is this area here around the belly button. So this is where we men store the highest percentage of fat typically. And the gynoid or female fat area is around hips, thighs and buttocks, what women to do. So it's the best.
So after the scan, me and my coach Nick, we basically analysed it alongside with my PT Joe, and we had a look at what I was currently eating, which was far too much. So I was on about 3,500 calories at the time. That was me weighed about 80 kilos, just for reference. So I'd put on quite a lot in the off season, let's just say that. A bit too much, well, a lot too much. So now I'm 72 kilo, just coming out my off season. So by comparison, you can see I'm on stage at around 67. So what we did from that, we reduced my calories in a 2-step reduction basically. The body scan results suggested that I should be eating 2,030 calories a day, I think it was. But obviously going from like 3,500 to 2,000 calories a day was just going to be a massive shock to my body. So we did a 2-step reduction and reduced it down half and then half again to bring me down to that 2,000 calorie mark. Otherwise my body would just got into such a stress so it wouldn't know what was happening. And I've had bad experiences with that in the past.
Okay guys, so we've been to the body scan. So we've been to Body Scan UK this afternoon and I've had a DEXA scan. So that measured my lean mass, body fat, along with other things like skeletal organs and things like that. So we found out what body fat I am, which is 26%, as you'll see in the video. But it allows me to basically start my prep on a head start almost. We're not going to waste any time at all in terms of a step down calorie reduction. We know where I need to be in terms of a calorie deficit, so it just means that we're not going to waste any time in guesswork. So that's a great benefit and it's going to allow me to get in that peak condition.
So Nick, what do you think about my 500 calorie deficit starting tomorrow?
I honestly don't think that I'll feel a thing. I think I'll feel fine about that.
No, what's going to happen is it's just going to be a stage. It's a stage 2 actually, calorie reduction. On the stage, we see your guesswork. Guesswork is not good work, is it? Sometimes if it's all in mouth, then it's the best you can do. But tomorrow there's going to be a definite, I think, in between 400 and 500 calorie reduction. But that's going to be split across carbs and fat, so I don't think she's even going to feel it.
So skipping ahead to my second scan in July, by comparison I started at 27% body fat and had the scan done for a second time. It wasn't as much of a difference as what I'd wanted, considering the amount of work and effort and how strict I'd been, and I'd followed what had been advised. I went down to just over 23% body fat from 27, so I was quite disappointed with that, but it did give us a good insight and still enough time to make some changes. So what I didn't take into account was that my BMR would actually lower because my body weight would decrease. I need less calories to actually just survive. So I was still eating 2,000 calories a day, But what I didn't take into account is, as my weight and body fat lowered and my body weight lowered, I actually needed less calories to survive, so we should have been stepping that down gradually as I lost weight and eating less and less. So for 3 months I'd been eating what I'd been told, but not really took into account that that needed to be reduced. So by the time we had the second scan done in July, my calories were down to like 1700 from 2000 from the first scan, so that set me back quite a lot, I think, and that's just something I've learned and just a lesson learned, I think, and something I can pass on to you guys.
And today we're going to body scan to get a DEXA scan to see how much fat I have to lose still, currently 11 weeks out.
So what have you been trying to do over the last 12 weeks then?
So obviously calorie reduction, but mainly the carbs.
Right.
And increased cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what, we would have done a deficit last time, did we?
Yeah. Yeah, was pretty much day after.
Yeah.
Near to that.
Okay.
I think we're at 3,000 calories, so you suggested like 2,000, I'm going to try to 46.
Right. Was your activity really high?
Quite high. We're tired out, and I'm intaking around what you suggest.
Right. So what's happened to your weight?
Weight, so 75 kilo now, and I ate.
Oh right, okay. So some type of, you lost about 75. You lost about 8 kilos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So it's likely to be fat.
I think I've got quite a way to go still, but that's okay.
.4 kilos of fat to 2.6 kilos of lean. A bit of that could be water from the initial fat loss.
Some more carbs in as well, a lot more carbs.
Right, okay. Now, what we would expect to see typically is a kind of 3-to-1 fat to lean loss. So from that 3.4 kilos of fat, we might expect that to be closer to 1.5. But as I say, your key priority at the moment is fat loss. Okay?
And muscle retention, like lean retention.
Yes, yeah. So, you know, DEXA is a 3-compartment model. Lean mass includes water. Okay, so we can't, particularly from... No, we don't.
Also, like, my carbs are, well, nearly more than half, about half what they were.
Sure. So if body water is changing, that's going to be reflected in that, all right? But over time, if we have like your regular scans, then we expect to pull that to kind of even out. But fat, we're on the money. Okay, so fat is fat, and that's the key thing. So you know, 3.4 kilos in 3 months. You know, what that suggests is you could have, well, you're in a deficit clearly because you've lost total body mass. I don't know about your program. Perhaps that lean loss could be, the program could be better, but again, there could be water in that.
Right, so technically the loss of it, the lean.
You lost a bit of lean, but we don't know how much is muscle.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and that's always going to be the case, particularly between scan 1 and 2.
Yeah.
All right, things will even out a bit after that.
I just finished at the clinic, had my DEXA Body Scan done. So this was, the last murder was in April. I was around 81 kilos morning weight. Today was 75 kilos morning weight. He said I could have lost a little bit more, but I feel like I've done a nice balance basically of, I've tried my best in terms of consistency, and also I followed the plan with deviated from the plan. I've not any cheat meals or anything like that. Everything's going pretty smoothly. But I'm happy with where I'm at. In terms of fat for height, I'm about halfway between where I was and where I need to actually be. I believe to hit that stage condition. So I'm quite happy with the progress. Keep going basically, and just keep the faith. That's what you're going to do when you're trying to get lean. So yeah, happy with how it's going so far. I've got another 11 weeks to hit that condition, and I'm really confident I'm going to do that if I carry on at this rate.
From the second scan, I basically dropped calories down to 1700, and we did this through mainly dropping fats. So we dropped down to 55 grams of fat. Because there's 9 calories per gram of fat, versus 4 calories per gram on carbs. So I wasn't on a lot of carbs anyway at that point, so there wasn't really many places to go with it, and that would affect my training more if I'd have cut that. So hormonally, you do need fats as a woman, and I'd usually go no lower than 55, so that was like I was at the bottom of where I could go to there. So did that, and then if you keep watching on, you'll see what happened on the 3rd scan. So skip ahead to November. This is my final scan after I decided to pull out of competing as well. So I'd had a few additional meals, let's say, in between, which I wouldn't have had if I would been competing. So it may have put a slight bit back on to what I've maybe got to my lowest, but see what happens.
So it's now the 1st of November today, and I've come back for my body scan, DEXA scan in London. So it's my 3rd scan, so we're going to see what the results are.
So to conclude with the 3rd scan, obviously I've pulled out of competing at this point because I felt I didn't look the way I wanted to look. It was valuable to do anyway, I think, just to see where I got to. So the overall arching thing was that I only lost 1.2% of muscle between the July and the November scan, which is okay, like that's pretty good for a natural, and it's expected when you're in a calorie deficit. That's the reason why I didn't want to drop calories so quickly from the beginning and try and keep them as high as possible. We always kept the protein as high as possible as well throughout. It dropped basically a little bit towards the end to around 160, 170 grams of protein, but just to prevent that muscle loss was quite important.
So just had my last body scan of 2022. The thing is that obviously I've come down in fat, and I've lost quite a few kilos in weight, and not lost too much lean muscle tissue. So really happy with the results which I've got here. Do think it's been a valuable experience just to come and see where my fat's distributed. I'm definitely holding it around the sort of hip area, so that's what I'm going to work on from now.
So as a conclusion from the 3rd scan, I'd say I just basically saw where I got to, and then I can use that as a marker for this year's prep. I've still got 1 scan left to go, so I'll be having that maybe around like April, May time this year, and we'll see if I've actually gained muscle mass, we'll see if I've lost body fat, and we'll see how low I can get basically. So to conclude the whole experience of going to Body Scan UK, I found the service excellent, and the knowledge that they had was really, really good. But I would just use this as a tool. I'd probably use it as a tool more than an absolute guide like I did. The other thing was that, like, I took from the gentleman that did my scan, I took from him that he said I would be lean enough at 70 kilo. I got on stage last at 67, so obviously I was over the moon with that. Like, I've gained a natural like 3 kilo in my off season, but that wasn't the case. When I actually got down to 70 kilo, and I'm near to that right now, in my opinion, I am not lean enough for my bodybuilding category. So that was probably the first hurdle that fell and fall short really of where, me achieving my goals. So really, I think you've got to use it as a tool, but ultimately look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. Are you going to look the way you want to look on stage? And that's up to you. You can use a coach, you can use a PT, but essentially you've got to be honest with yourself and look objectively at your body, because at the end of the day, as a bodybuilder, you are getting judged on your physique. It doesn't matter how hard you've worked in the gym, what meals you've eaten, what you haven't eaten, whatever. At the end of the day, if you're on that stage and you're getting judged, you're not speaking, you're not performing, it's not fitness category, it's bodybuilding. So if you found this useful and you liked what you saw, please like this video, subscribe to my channel and follow along for the journey of my 2023 prep, which is going to be a hell of a ride as per usual, I'm sure. I'll be documenting my workouts, cooking and everything else in between.